episode of Ignite Your Power, the Kathy Mao podcast. Today, I'm joined and so excited to have a guest speaker, Dwayne Morton. He's a former international basketball player, motivational speaker, and a true testament to resilience. After battling a misdiagnosed rare blood cancer for 18 years, guys, it's crazy, and surviving a police shooting, Dwayne emerged stronger than ever, fueled by unwavering faith, integrity, and an unbreakable mindset. So, in this episode, we dive into his journey of overcoming adversity, the power of mental performance, and how to rise above life's toughest challenges. So, get ready for an inspiring conversation that will shift your perspective and ignite your inner power. So, hi, Dwayne, if you want to say hi to everyone.
Hi, Kathy. Hi, listeners. So thank you, listeners, for giving me your time. I believe time is the most valuable asset we have. And so whether they're watching, on the replay in the morning, the afternoon, the evening, or at night, like, just want to say thank you. I appreciate you. Just extreme gratitude for just giving me your time. And same thing, Kathy. I appreciate you for giving me this platform to ask me to come on as a guest and to share my story. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Of course. Thanks for being here. And like you said, time is the most precious thing that we have in this lifetime. And so, yeah, thank you for you being here and all the listeners for listening. So, can you start by sharing your story? Like, what led you to become an international basketball player and then eventually a motivational speaker?
yeah. So the inspirational speaker kind of comes through the story part. After he went through some challenges, but the basketball part was I was this 4-year old kid. Um, so my grandma and grandpa lived right beside our house, like I don't know, maybe 300 feet, something like that. And so I was always down there, and they had this basketball go that so back then you couldn't lower or raise the basketball go, so it was 10 foot. And so my 4-year-old self, I took also it was a man's regulation basketball, so there wasn't different sizes. Um, and so my 4-year-old self decided, hey, I want to learn how to shoot basketball. And so what I would do, Kathy, is my goal was as a 4-year-old was to hit the net, and then the way the net is, it's like different colors. So I would try to hit different colors, but it was the net, the rim, and then hopefully, maybe one every now and then it would go in. It just came to the point I started getting better and better and better. And, the ball started going in later on. And so I believe that 4-year-old actually, taught me resiliency and persistence because I was out there all the time. Like I enjoyed it. It was my favorite thing to do. And so through that, that's how I became a former international basketball player. It's just the love of the game, right? But I didn't have that. I didn't have like a clear path to it. That's what I was going to say. It wasn't like I was this great, great basketball player the whole time because I was not. There was players that were around me that were better, and even at the time when I went overseas, there still was players that were better. The other aspect of it is I didn't play my junior or senior in high school. So most people, you're right, there's no path. Like that's the thing. There was absolutely no path. And so for me, I was very fortunate. There was an opportunity to go on a mission trip, and I took that and came away with my core foundation of gratitude. Core belief, foundation, either one you want to call it. But I met this 5-year-old boy, and he had not eaten in 3 days. And so for me, I was heartbroken. I had never had to face that. I'm from a small rural town in Kentucky. I promise we've never had to miss 3 meals, or at least I didn't. And so I decided, like that's different. And so I realized at that point that, we have our situation's a lot better than some other people. So our nightmares are some people's dreams. And so throughout these challenges that what made me decide to be a inspirational speaker, I learned the really core value that I used to bounce back from everything when I was playing basketball overseas.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And your experiences shape you who you are today. And I know you've been through a lot of hardships, having a rare blood cancer and, actually, going through a police shooting too, if you wanted to talk more about your story with that. But, being an international basketball player allows you also to like open your eyes to see the world and like, that basketball or mentality of being in the sports, also helps with the mindset tool piece too. And I know that people who play sports or whatnot, you guys have a different mindset, like you guys are go-getters. You guys like set goals and try to achieve it. Like what you said, you just started off playing basketball and then doing one step at a time and then eventually getting better, and that's amazing. So how do you
Yes.
feel? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, no. I was just gonna say, so with athletes,
Yeah.
we we are able to live our dream because we're playing a game, right? We're able to be a kid the whole time. So it's easier to, and I'll say easier, simpler. So you go through this path and you can, become a professional athlete. So for me, I never got paid. I was never a professional athlete. Like I actually signed with an agent at a point and I hurt my knee before I was able to sign a contract.
Oh,
So that's the other point is like I also had another challenge. I had a career-ending injury. Like I mean, and basically the doctor gave me this. She was like, "How long do you want to play? And if you do decide to play, you're probably going to look at total knee replacement in your 30s." To me, I felt like that was probably time to hang it up. I felt like I hit my ceiling and I was kind of done. I mean, and I was like really looking forward to what life had to offer and life's challenging. So that was the other thing. I never just saw myself as a basketball player. And so it was a dream of mine to play past high school. But as far as like life, I just knew there had to be something else.
yeah. And life kept showing you like, hey, you're not just an athlete, you're gonna become this motivational speaker. And, going through more rough patches in your life, which, I kind of touched upon. But if you wanted to talk about how you did have this rare blood cancer and then surviving a police shooting, which really actually catapulted you into really living your life purpose as a motivational speaker and creating that mindset and changing people's lives that you do now.
Right. So one thing I want to say is like I believe I'm an inspirational speaker, not a motivational speaker. And the
Okay.
reason why I don't, and I just the reason that I did for you too is usually when you go pay to go hear a motivational speaker, it's usually lasts 15 minutes, a couple of days, maybe a week, and then usually that rah rah. So I'm not a rah rah type person. Like I'm not the cheerleader type. I'm just not.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like I want something that's actually inspires. It actually brings something within. So it just lights that fire that's laid dormant. Is that's the way I look at it, more inspirational. And so I was diagnosed with a rare blood cancer at 29, and so I was given 5 years. And so yeah, I was given 5 years at the very beginning, and it wasn't. It was later on that I talked to a physician who was a friend of mine. He said, "No, it's probably more like 15." And so and it's also one of the things that comes to mind too is what a lot of this stuff I haven't really thought about until I started writing a book. That was the other aspect is like, so I was talking to my brother about certain things and he was like, "Oh no," he's like, uh, I remember you got diagnosed and it was only 5 years." And so it reminded me that like, I don't remember all the story because I can't remember all the story because I'm dealing with the trauma of it. And so um, but what I was diagnosed with was a rare blood disease at the time, which would turn into a rare blood cancer. And so that's kind of the differentiating part. And also, it was very rare at the time. I think there was like 200,000 people global that had it. And now it's actually a lot uh more common. It's not as rare, but also um they know more, almost 20 years down the road. So that's the other thing about it. But at that time, they didn't know what it was, um, or like how long I'd live and those type of things. And so for me, I was 29. So think about, I was going through life, figuring it out at that point. I didn't have a wife and kids. Like, so that was another thing is like, as soon as I got diagnosed, I was like, I'm not getting married, not gonna have kids, because I didn't want anybody to carry my burden. And so I feel like sometimes when you're going through something like that, there's just these decisions we make. And so that's actually probably one of the more difficult questions when people ask me about being misdiagnosed. That's usually the one that like hits the hardest is that I decided to put life truly on hold because I felt like I wasn't going to be here. But I always, so we were talking about like the unbreakable mindset. Like there was bad days through this diagnosis. Like there was days, but I just knew I had to move. If I could just move and go to the refrigerator and get a glass of orange juice, like that was a win to me. And so when you break things down like that, so my mindset was pretty strong. It's just the people around me, they didn't understand that my mindset was strong because they were saw me depressed and sad. There's nothing wrong with being depressed or sad when you're going through something like that because you have to validate those emotions. Those emotions are real. And so that was part of the thing is like, but I also, this is one thing that I did is I was planning for a future even though I didn't have one. I'll say that again. I was planning for a future even though I didn't have one.
Wow.
I was always working somehow on some project or something for some other person and hoping that they would take it and create a legacy with it. Unfortunately, some of my friends didn't see it that way. They were like, "Oh, you need a job for this because that's the security. You need this for the insurance." And I feel like that's the other part is I was a true entrepreneur from the beginning. My parents owned a small business and I always wanted to go in down that path.
Yeah. And doing and being an entrepreneur, dude, that's funny because my parents are the same way. And I always had that entrepreneur mindset as well. My parents owned a fast food restaurant growing up. So you see that as a child, and then you're like, oh, I want that for myself as well. It just determines also. My other siblings don't want to be entrepreneurs, but I do, and like my twin does. But that's like a little key piece that you take away from, just by seeing what your parents do. But
Right, absolutely.
yeah, how did you feel though when you got that misdiagnosis? Like at first when you got it, were you like scared that you're like, oh my gosh, okay, I only have 5 years to live. I'm still gonna be doing what I need to do. I'm still gonna be motivated. And then what did it feel like after getting misdiagnosed and saying like, oh, okay, you
Yeah.
know, never mind, it's not, you still can live. Like, how does that? Like, I can't even imagine going through that. That's wild.
Yeah, so it's very wild, but also for a timeline is there's 18 years, 2006 to 2024. So I got diagnosed in 2006, 2024 I found out. But also there's these other things that happen that allow me now to be able to have make the decision when I was misdiagnosed to be like, okay, everything's I'm healthy, like it's just severe sleep apnea. So that's the other thing. And I feel part of the power of the story when people don't understand that like I really hit my head on the pillow every night and just why am I getting these opportunities? Why am I meeting this person? Because so just to let you know, Kathy, my mentor when I lived in Louisville, Kentucky is Melvin Turner. And Melvin Turner is a motivational speaker, but Melvin Turner was mentored by Jim Rohn.
Wow.
Right. That Jim Rohn. Exactly. The one that like makes everybody's jaw drop. Right. And
Yeah.
so that's the thing is like he saw something in me at my one of my lowest points.
Hmm.
And he poured into me and poured into me and poured into me. And so when I tell people all the time, like I was figuring it out the whole time I was trying to figure out. I was playing chess while everybody else was playing checkers. So here's the thing. I got into network marketing
Hmm.
at this time because I didn't have an able body. So what could I do? I could go find other able bodies. And so that was the whole thing is like I was always trying to step up, but then I would get sick. Like I would have a setback, right? And so and then the other part of it was the shooting, once I did that, I just wanted peace. Like I was struggling with because I was dealing with severe I was dealing with PTSD and survivor's guilt.
Oh,
And like I'll explain more about this part, but we can ask that another question about the shooting. But the misdiagnosis part was just like relief. I still wasn't sure about it, but it still was like this relief of like, okay, This makes no sense, but God healed me, and like I'm like a wind up toy. Like if you when you wind it up when you were winding up a toy as a kid and you held it and you just held it and then you let go, that thing went crazy, right?
Yeah,
It's kind of what I'm doing. It's like my energy's it's not all over the place. It's very direct. I do stuff with intention. That's the whole show up to win mentality. It's like I really show up with that type of I show up all the time with intention.
I love that. I know you do. And you said that you live with purpose and you're purpose driven last time you said that when we had our conversation. And that hit me
Yep.
hard because that really motivates you to keep doing what you're doing even when you were in this sick state and like like what you were saying is all over the place and it was so hard and you were struggling with PTSD and all this mindset and all these things, but yet you still kept going and you still kept following your purpose. And isn't it beautiful though that the universe always leads you to exactly who you need to meet or
Yep.
like the people that keep you going? Like they put little like the universe puts little stepping stones for you.
Little crumbs. Yeah. So what if I told you at 20 years old I was told I was a great speaker? Like I could have been doing this at 20. Like, and that's the thing is like I just didn't see it as a talent. I did not see it as like that it was helpful to people. So I was like, hey, I'm a former basketball player. Let me go into sports psychology. Let me go into something else. Like, because I was into mental performance, and this is, sports psychology really wasn't a huge thing when it was just starting to really kind of come out. And so I feel like that was the other part was like when I look at this, this is a true full circle moment. It's like I'm back to where I was, and it's like I can now speak. And so I think that when we really look back at things, the things that are our purpose are right here. We're just looking away, but our purpose is right in front of us. And I believe that's what it was with me with a speaker.
Yeah, so it was right in front of you, but you didn't see it. And so you had to go through all these things to lead you back to being that
Right.
inspirational speaker that you're meant to be, not motivational. I love that too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So, we kind of talked a little bit about the shooting too. That was another key pivotal moment in your life. And how did that shape you into changing and, going into the direction of becoming that inspirational speaker that,
Yeah. So, in May 16th, 2022, there was a shooting, a police shooting at my small rural town in Kentucky. So what happened was they missed a check on a criminal. He was being questioned. He was detained and being questioned. They took him outside. He was smoking a cigarette, and he had a hidden gun, and he had a knife with a rope like around his neck. Okay, so a rope was around his neck attached to a knife, and so it's not supposed to happen. And that's I just want to make this abundantly clear. But also, I have friends who are, they lost a friend that day. So this police officer got shot. So the criminal took a hidden gun out of his waistband, shot a police officer, tragically killed him. And I was just driving by that day with my 3-year-old niece in the back seat. We were going to get ice cream just like any other day. And the police shootout, police and the criminal had the shootout. A bullet hits the truck that I'm driving, which is my dad's truck, which is another part of the miracle story because if I drove my SUV, I wouldn't be here or my niece wouldn't be here. Yeah. So if so, what the bullet hit was where the roof and the bed meet. There's this piece of metal. If that piece of metal is not there, I'm not here or she's not. So if it's an eighth of an inch to the left, it kills me. Eighth of an inch to the right, it kills my little niece. And so yeah, I mean, so I was dealing with survivor's guilt and PTSD. Also, I was dealing with the fact that I'm supposed to be protecting my niece and I put her in harm's danger. Even though it wasn't I wasn't doing it on purpose, right?
Yeah.
I still made a choice to drive that road that day. And so when I talk about gratitude all the time, that was one of the most grateful things. Like it was definitely very difficult, but like I knew that there was a miracle that day, and that's the reason I'm here. Um, and so once these miracles like started happening, it was just like, okay, like I understand I have a bigger purpose and I feel divinely protected too. So, um, but what the shooting taught me was I needed to figure out, and when I say this, I don't think I've ever said it on a podcast, but like I just needed to figure out the peace that I had to have. Like, and I couldn't, I didn't have peace. That's the other thing is like I wasn't sleeping. So the PTSD was like it wouldn't allow me sleep. And so it wasn't until I realized my life was very chaotic. It wasn't because I wanted to, but and I think whenever I got misdiagnosed, I found that piece of like, oh, I'm healthy.
Yeah.
And then I realized I can have peace. And that's always what I've always wanted. I've always wanted peace and calm. Like I'm not a person that wants a lot of chaos and those type of things and drama. And so I feel like that was the part where it was like, hey, I know you don't like this, but we're going to put you through it so you'll be way more grateful for it. You'll you'll um you'll understand how much you needed it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. It totally makes 100% sense because I believe that. I believe that the universe or God puts you in certain situations so you learn from them and to lead you to the path that you're meant to be, you know? And so just like me getting endometriosis and suffering with infertility, like, you don't like going through those things, but it taught me lessons like you going through a shooting and getting a misdiagnosis. Like it brought you some lessons, life lessons that you needed to learn in order to uplift you and, kind of just make you a 2.0 version of yourself, like to upgrade yourself and to learn from those experiences. And I truly believe that that's why you were meant to like go through those things that are hard. And that's why I love that every person has their own story, though. That's the beautiful
R-
thing everybody does, you know?
So, so if you would have talked to me a few months ago, I would have thought that I was still in that victim mentality. Like it happened to me. It happened to me, right? And then like, I don't know, it was like November. It was like, it actually happened for me. Cause like I'm able to talk to you. I'm able to talk to all these people. And like, I have these stories that like captivate, but also like inspire people, right? So I thought, hey, it actually really helped me. But then I had a mentor. Her name is Victoria Rader. She's an amazing mentor. So she's a really big, she's into quantum healing. And she said, Dwayne, those things are actually happening through you. And through you means that it's happening and you're living that experience, but you're serving. You're facilitating it. So you're facilitating the lessons to others without them actually having to go through it. And so, that's why I pour out with gratitude and like I'm a very loving and giving person. And I've always been a very loving and giving person, but I just didn't know how to express it. And now I know how to express it. And I feel like that's also part of the part that makes me where people want to ask me to come on and speak is that they realize that like I'm for real. Like I really hope that other people are are in a better place than what anytime they work with me. I want them to be in a better place. I want them to have the success that they always dreamed about. I've already accomplished my dream that so many people have never accomplished their dream or even know what their dream really is.
Yeah, it's true. It's because a lot of us don't take the time to understand ourselves. And so you've had the opportunity to start understanding yourself. And I loved how you said so many good things. Like you were stuck in a victim mentality, where you thought things were happening, against you. And you're like, why is this happening to us? A lot of us get stuck in this mindset of this victim mentality. And I do. I definitely did during my infertility stage. I was depressed. I was anxious. I was like so hateful. Like you literally would not know the version of me right now. It's like completely opposite. And again, when you're stuck in the victim mentality, how do you get yourself out of it? right? So, like you, what are some tools that got you out of that victim mentality? I know one is like finding your life purpose and, building that resilience and mindset. But what specifically helped you really, get you out of that victim mentality?
Yeah, so I actually have made a little like PDF, a program that I do. So this is a daily thing. This is actually how I do. I've been doing this for a long time, and I just didn't really have a name for it. But so my signature program is called Dwayne's Daily Plan of Attack. And so this is just a morning routine. Sorry, it's not my signature program. It's different. So I apologize. But Dwayne's Daily Plan of Attack is these four core things. So the first thing I do is wake up and I thank God for just waking me up. Like, thank you for just the day. I feel like so many people just don't understand the power of that. It's just that gratitude part. And so the very first step that I do that day is gratitude. Okay.
Love
The
it.
number two thing I do, and this is because I played a lot of basketball, but you can apply it to your life in the way that manner that you want, is so I stretch. I actually stretch my legs and I pop my back like before I do anything. As soon as I'm laying into bed. So my number two thing is self-care. Okay. So number three is I've had knee surgeries on both knees. And so my very first thing is I take these big huge steps and I just plant my leg just to like see how my knees are. And so it's left foot, right foot. And so I think about that the rest of the day. I take a runner's mentality. And so number three is movement. And so as you move through the day, we cannot focus on the past, okay? If
Yeah.
we focus on the past, we get depressed. Also, if you ever tried running like like that and like holding it, it's not easy. You don't get anywhere. It's slow, right? So we don't want to look back and just stare at the past. A couple glances every now and then, that's fine. The other thing is we don't want to look out so much into the future and just concentrate on our destination. Just destination, destination. Like
Yeah.
then we get anxious. We don't want to cause the anxiety. What we want to do is live in the present, in which that is the gift. So I live in the presence. And so I take a runner's mentality. As I'm going through my day, I think left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. And that's how I go about the whole day. And so, like I said, the third step's movement, which brings to the last step, and it's adaptability. Life is going to throw you curveballs. Life is going to punch you in the face and kick you in the stomach. And that's how I felt when I was diagnosed. Um, the unexpected bill is going to happen. People at work are going to like something's going to happen to a colleague or something like those are life challenges. And so I look at it from that runner's mentality. It's just a pothole. And so we have to go through them, but we don't have to go actually through the center. We just need to swerve. And so when we swerve and we take those life challenges a little bit easier, and so that's my morning routine is Dwayne's daily plan of attack, and I'll give you a link to the PDF, and you can attach it to give it to your listeners.
Love it. Thank you for sharing that. That is so powerful. And you keep saying gratitude, and I love that so much because I always tell my listeners and people that I coach, gratitude is the biggest, easiest thing that you could do to raise your vibration and to actually help you, start shifting your mindset from that lack fear mentality to like appreciating your life and being more in the present moment. Because when you're
Abs-
actually in a state of gratitude, you're able to truly like feel what you have around you. And a lot of us focus on the negative, like what we do not have, right? Like the lack. And it's
yeah,
hard. It's hard to get out of that
yes,
state, but gratitude is so powerful. I love it
right.
so.
So Kathy, one thing is like as I've went through this whole diagnosis, I became friends with like other people who have chronic illnesses.
Yeah.
And so one thing is they always target and they always think about what they don't have. They
Mhm.
don't ever think about what they do have that
Yeah.
other people don't have that are always looking for it. So just think about that with the people who have, some type of chronic illness is that they have some skill, they have a talent that the other person who's able and doesn't have. And so when we look at it from that and we look at it from a gratitude space of like, thank you for having these skill, giving me these skills. Thank you for, I'm glad that I have these skills. If you look at it from that aspect, then you look at it, that's how you get rid of lack because you're not worrying about lack as much. You're worrying about your talent and your skills. So you solidify your skills and your talents. And then you like, oh, I don't know. So like right now, if I want a house built, I go find a carpenter. I
Yeah.
don't have to build the thing by myself, right? Like I don't have to do it. That's the whole reason to have money is to be able to say, okay, I want this house built. I want to go find a carpenter. So I think that's the problem is we get into what we don't have and we focus on it so much and we don't focus on what we do have.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for making it more clarifying. And it's true. When you are in that mentality of being in gratitude, you are able to find the solutions. You are more empowered, you're more confident, like you just feel a certain way, which makes you do actions towards the things that you're truly meant to do, you know? But when you're in that lack mentality, you're shifting against what you're meant to do because you're in this low vibrational state of energy, you know?
Absolutely. And you know, if you study the law of attraction, the best vibration is gratitude. You find those people and then that gratitude just vibrates different and you find other people. Like I cannot tell you how many times I've like went through things and I just found the right person that I was looking for. And I truly believe that it's because I live in such a state of gratitude and people are just attracted to me in that way. It's like they realize that like I have something that other people want.
Yeah. It's the energy that you portray. And I truly believe this, and I tell my listeners all the time. I'm like, everything is energy. So whatever you're emulating, which you are in a state of gratitude, which we said earlier is high vibrational, you're attracting all that goodness, all the people that you need to meet at the divine right timing too. Like what you said, you're like, when you got the misdiagnosis or whatever, you got to meet your coaches and the people that lead you or led you into where you are now, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, very, very fortunate to be somehow these people crossed my path. I mean, just last week I met a friend of mine who was in my mentor's like family tree. We had never met. My mentor's student's student. We just met on a Zoom one day.
Wow.
And that's the type of things that when you're vibrating at the type of frequency I am, like those things happen all the time. Like and it's not uncommon. That's the thing. It keeps happening more and more and more. And like I just feel like when you're playing at the right way and you're mentally prepared. The other thing is I don't have any expectations. So when I wake up, no expectations. Like on this podcast. Like
Yeah.
I just know that we'll meet. It'll be done. That's it. I don't know if it's good, bad. If I mess up, right, doesn't matter because it's not about that. It's about the relationship. It's about, the conversation that's going out to your listeners and me sharing information.
Yeah.
Eh, Yeah, so it's not about whether I screw up or whether I say certain things. Like that doesn't matter. It's about what the listener gets from me. And I feel like that's the true part of inspiration when you're able to just say, okay, I'm doing this because someone else needs it,
Yeah.
not because I want it. I'm doing this because someone else needs it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. It's so true. And it's not what we truly say and mess up, right? It's exactly the messages that we are emulating and talking about and, giving to the listeners so that they can benefit. And it's the energy that we're giving off too,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And
And that,
so
that's the
it's a
part.
beautiful, beautiful place. And like, I just hope your listeners like I hope whatever you're going through, like you realize that you're going to go through it. Because guess what? There was probably 2 years ago you had a really rough challenge and you thought that it was going to be the worst thing that ever happened to you. And you got through it. So
Yeah.
like when you do that and you realize, oh, I already did this, like it just makes things easier.
Yeah. It's true. And most of us got through COVID, okay? So COVID is such a hard period in time for all of us all around the world. So if we've survived that, imagine what else you can survive. So that's just like another thing that builds confidence in you. And I know like COVID changed a lot of people's lives during that time too. It's pretty crazy. Like a lot of people started becoming entrepreneurs or people just stepped out of their comfort zone and was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know if tomorrow's gonna come, so I'm just gonna go and do it," you know? And it just like
A-
shifted a lot.
Absolutely. Think about all the people who like just got on a whim and was like asked the girl or the guy that they were looking at try to date, and they were just like, you know, or these long lost best friends where they were just like, oh, we're just finally meant to like fall in love. There's all these wonderful things that came out of COVID. Like everybody talks about the bad stuff, but there
Yeah.
were so many good things. Entrepreneurship that you were just bringing up. Like there's just so much really good things that people just don't realize because the bad things are supposed to be they're out there to like bring our vibration down.
Yes. I
Like, and
believe
when you realize that, when you start seeing things for what they really are and what they can do to a bunch of people, then it's like, okay, like I choose not to participate in that.
same. I am the same way. Like, with politics right now, I hear it all the time. I try to not let it affect me right now. I'm like, it just lowers my vibration and I just feel it. And I'm like, I don't need that, you know? Whatever goes on, all I can do is control my energy, the people around me, like my family, my loved ones, you know? That's what really I can really do and control, right? And that's
Right.
exactly what you were saying.
I
That's,
mean,
yeah,
history has shown there's been good leaders, bad leaders, and really bad leaders, and we still got through it. Like we got here, so it doesn't matter. Like the politics is like 50% of people are going to be happy, 50% are going to be unhappy. Like when you look at it from that part, like I don't even talk about politics in my business because of that purpose. Like I'm alienated half of the people. Like I don't want to do that. It's one of those things like people just got to understand that you have your right to an opinion and that's fine. And if my opinion is differentiated than your opinion, that's fine too. We can have a conversation, but it's when people get like it's the propaganda part where it's like, oh, I can't talk to this person because they like this person. Like that's when it gets really ignorant. Like it really is ignorant. And I see that all the time with people, and I'm just like, I disassociate with both
yeah,
because I don't want energy from either one of them.
yeah. And that's the thing, like that's what they are trying to do is to separate us. And we're supposed to actually be like full of love and we're supposed to come together and just love one another even through all the differences. And so best way to do it is just shut them out or shut all of that out, right? And just focus
Absolutely.
on your own energy.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's once you realize the tricks of the trade,
Yeah.
then it's just like, okay, well, they're playing games. Like I choose not to participate. That's it. That's all you gotta do. And your life's gonna be so much better when you decide, hey, certain things aren't for you. They're not in alignment, and you just back off.
Yeah, but it's hard. A lot of people are like so used to the drama or used to hating or used to like that negative energy, right? It's kind of like being trapped in that victim mentality of like, oh, everything's against me. Their mindset is like, oh, they're not understanding me. And like they're not smart or they're not, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, just all these bad things. And it's like, stop being in
It's
that
the
victim mentality and
but
just,
it's the media though. That's the part. It's the media that starts us. Like that's the thing is the media is the one that like keeps throwing the gasoline on the fire because that's how they get paid.
yeah,
And once people realize that, then it's like I don't even look at the news anymore. I don't watch the news. There's no reason to watch it right now
yeah, same.
because it's not true news. It's not true news. It's someone else's fabricated report. And once you realize it from that standpoint, I'm not getting my news from there. Uh, there's no reason. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll check the weather, like on the weather app, right? Like, I mean, they're not very like clear uh, on their
Yeah.
predictions either. I mean, and I can say that I have one of my really good friends is got like 25 years of been a meteorologist for 25 years. So I can say that. And like, we joke about it, like I talk about him, talk all the time. I'm like, well, I checked the weather rock that's outside and, it was wet. So, it rained. Just, simple things like that.
Yeah. But not like feeding into all of that gossip and know that news is portrayed one way. So I don't watch the news. I haven't watched it in years. My husband's all about it. I'm like, nope, don't tell me. I don't care. Nope. I know it lowers my vibration and it makes me think a certain way because they want you to think a certain way. But no, you have your power to think your own way and what you truly believe, you know?
Yeah. And so I think the most beautiful thing about it is that when you disassociate with it, that's the most beautiful part. You not take sides. Don't take sides. Taking sides is not the way to go. Taking sides means that you're participating. We don't want to participate. If you want to really save your energy, you want to really check your energy, don't participate.
Oh, that's true. Exactly. And I noticed and I felt so empowered when I realized that I was like, hey, I'm not picking sides. Like, I'm not choosing anything. I'm choosing me. And that's what we should all be doing, by the way. We should choose ourselves first before we choose and put all this energy on things that you can't control or really care for, right? Because people are like, oh, I hate these policies and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, can you really do anything? No, you're just complaining. You're wasting your energy. Put it back on yourself with like doing gratitude and what you said, self-care things. Like that is so much more productive with your energy, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is some of the mindset tools that I teach like in my program. Like, I mean, is just where you're able to realize and you're able to see, oh, I want this goal, so I'm not willing to participate. I'm looking to my goal is my motivation, my inspiration. Like when you start doing that and when you wake up and you're like, I'm doing whatever I can to accomplish my dream. I'm not worried about turning on TV. That's the type of people that I'm looking for in my program. And that's the type of people that I feel like will get the results in my program too. So
I love it. Did you want to talk more a little bit more about your program and what you really offer and what you can help people really change and with their mindset? Because you kind of tapped a little bit about it, but I'm like, oh, I want to
yeah,
hear.
no, yeah, so my program is called Show Up to Win. And Show Up to Win is really my life philosophy. I show up with intention. And so I practice like it's a championship game, so the championship games only feel like practice. Same thing. And so for me, and here's the disclaimer of my program. If you're a minimum person, my program is not for you. Like it's just not. You're not wanting the results as much as you deserve the results. So I always tell people I'm willing to do what other people are unwilling to do. So same thing. This program is just going to turn on that inner light that has been either blown out, something has taken it out, something. I'm just going to help relight it and show you how different mindset tools is really that's part of it. I've overcome a lot of adversity. So I'm actually pretty good at it. I've done like two times that, so I'm an expert at this. And so I can hear your story and I will help you and shift my program to you. Like I teach you how to make a playbook. I give you the plays, but I ask you to make your own playbook because you know what works for you and what won't work for you. So same thing, like it's a very customizable program, but it also is an extremely effective program. And I think that's the most important part. And so I built this program because when I was searching for it, I couldn't find it. And when I was searching for it and I really needed it, I just couldn't find it. So I decided it needed to be out there. It needed to be utilized for the community. And so the other part is I knew for me, I had to have a community to keep me consistent. So I built it. And so the community is going to come, just like the field of dreams. You build it, he will come, right? Same difference. The people are going to come to this. And the the program and me are going to help the community stay consistent. So it's a beautiful thing, this whole community driven system.
Love it. That sounds amazing. That
Yeah.
sounds
And so the people I'm looking for are the people who are like feel stuck at their job, divorced, um, can't find, like they're getting a job and they're not getting anywhere and they're stuck. They feel like that for me, I'm looking for more athletes or ex-athletes. Like those would be probably more, but I'm dealing with people who have been diagnosed. Like that diagnosis, Kathy, was extremely difficult. Like it is a prison sentence.
yeah.
And when you look at it from that point and you understand why these people are depressed and sad, and like me going through it allowed me to understand the tools that I could help give pe the support. Sorry, not like a help person, more support people through their journey. And I feel like if people are looking for me as a coach, I'm going to give my 100% to get them those results. But they also have to give their 100% to get the results. But I believe they deserve it. And that's why I do it. I do it because I enjoy seeing people's success. And if I'm just a small part of it, cool. I get a front row seat to watch it happen. Um, and so just to let people know, um, showuptowin.com. That's with the number two. It's going to be released in February on February 1st. So that's where you'll find it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing people. And if you go to showuptowin.info, this is before it comes out. There's like a contact form. And if you put your phone number, I'll probably contact you and like just find out like how I can help you. I believe in I believe in serving people. And so I really just want to help them get through their issues and how I can support them and how I can assist them.
Amazing. Yes. I'll put that link in the show notes below so people can find that easier too, along with the PDF. But thank you for being here, Dwayne. Our conversation was amazing. Your stories and all the adversities that you've overcome and all the mindset tools that you shared with us today was so powerful. And I hope all the listeners benefit and listen again to like write down and jot down these things and amazing notes that you've said. So thank you. And do you have any last words or things that you want to say to the listeners? And is that the only place that people can find you to? Is just at your website, or do you have social links as well?
So I have some social links. I'll go ahead and tell you my Instagram is pretty small, as you can attest, Kathy. So I was so focused on in 2024 on healing. I didn't really build a huge social media platform. I mean, it's coming. All I gotta do is just start. I'm actually going to take the same advice I tell people is just begin. Um, but most of the people that find me on Facebook. I'm pretty easy to find. But what I would want to leave your listeners with is begin. Whatever you're doing, begin. And whether that's to start the new job or to ask the girl or the guy out, like just begin. It's a whole lot easier to get the journey started by you just take the first step. And then my other thing is I believe in two things you need to do. You either have to plan or you have to have a mentor. And you could have a mentor before you have a plan. Either way, those are, I think, two of the most essential things that you need to really get your life on track and on that journey. So
Thank you so much. That is so true. And again, I can't express enough all the gratitude that you came on today and shared with us and all the knowledge that you gave us today. So thank you.
oh,
And
you're welcome. Thank you.
all the social links in the show notes below. All right. Bye, guys.